chances are you like talking sport. We're glad you are here to do it with us. And listen, I could probably spend a little bit of time on the NBA and do all that happy stuff, but let's be honest, the Orlando Magic, whom I cover for Fans First Sports Network, kind of depressing right now. And I didn't have an NBA guest book. But Kyle, why on earth would you not do that? No, it's not because I'm pre-recording on election night. Nothing like that. It's because it's mid-season awards, fools. And it's only a matter of time before I have the great, the esteemed, the formidable Mikey, the Bernier of Huddle Up Inc. coming on here. Before I get into that, I want to get into this, of course. While I am, like I said, pre-recording this on election night, by the way, go vote if you haven't yet, fools. Well, if you're listening to this, it's probably illegal for you to vote at this point, so don't do that. But listen, the trade deadline is come and gone for the NFL. And here's what I find absolutely fascinating. When you look at this list, what you find are teams that think they have a shot and are tooling up to make a push, right? Now, I know there's some names and some trades that took place that people probably don't care about so much, like who cares that Roy Robertson Harris went from the Jags to the Seahawks? Do you? I don't, but apparently they think that shores up their D-line. I don't know. But there's a few things that jump off the page that I wanted to point out. Marshawn Latimer from New Orleans to the Red Tails, Commanders, is fascinating. I want to point that one out. But the trades that I find the most interesting are DeAndre Hopkins and Amari Cooper heading to, respectively, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Granted, as a Niner fan, I am excited that they got Khalil Davis to bolster their defensive line, kind of like they did last year with Chase Young, but that's here nor there. What you have there are two AFC teams that were doing pretty stinking good, have coaches who are competing potentially for Coach of the Year, more on that later, and trying to make things happen. Folks, the teams that are really good make moves at this time to shore things up. The teams that aren't are trying to get draft picks, like the Saints, who just fired their coach. I shouldn't laugh at that, although it is funny. But at day's end, seeing Cam Robinson and Cam Akers in Minnesota, for example, seeing Zadarius Smith replace Aiden Hutchinson in Detroit, seeing Mike Williams and Preston Smith end up with the Steelers as they make some moves to realize, hey, listen, we're really good, but in case TJ Watt doesn't, live forever, we may want to do something this season. And then I laugh at Devontae Adams in New York because the Jets are funny. A lot of these moves made teams that were good scarier here. This wasn't a situation where the Dolphins acquired somebody to remain, I'm going to say, irrelevant, although they've been better with Tua back, right? Not winning, just better. So, listen, at this point, the really great teams polish up. But the fact that I mentioned the Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the San Francisco 49ers, I can't technically put the Detroit Lions in this space historically, so I will say of late. What do all of these things have in common, though? That these are well-run franchises. And what's most uplifting to me for the NFL is to see that the Washington Commanders are among one of these teams acting like one of these top franchises. Maybe, just maybe, Dan Steiner's stink is starting to get removed from that franchise and the league. And I know I've had two, shall we say, representatives of the Commander Media on the show already, in the form of Candy Waller of Bowie TV and Drew Willingham of Sartoba Media. But that's just something that's uplifting. So I just wanted to walk through that element and those things that happened in the trade deadline. And frankly, listen, if you happen to be a fan of or among the Duval devout who are fans of the Jacksonville Jaguars, you should feel glad there was no trade. And I tell you exactly why, along with my friend Travis D. Holmes on the Duval Dive. So that's why I don't get into that here. There's a lot going on there. Make sure you check that out there. But speaking of other shows that I'm on, you often see me on Huddle Up Inc. doing the Huddle Up podcast, and one of the panelists had who was stepped up huge. He used to be just a guy trolling people about data in the comments, but no more. He used to be a fat guy that's talking stuff with you about your fantasy team. Okay, well, that's kind of tragic that he's not doing that, but he'll get back to it, I'm sure. And if I mess with him too much, I'll get my 5 minutes for fighting as he talks hockey as well on this and other podcasts. Give it up for my man, the esteemed member of Huddle Up Inc, Mikey the Bern. Bernier, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, brother?
That intro was all over the place for you.
I loved every bit of it. I would be remiss if I didn't sit here and open up the show. You're talking to a third member of Commanders Media. I covered the Washington Commanders for the NFC East preview of the Student of the Game report.
Oh, snap. You did that while I was pouring my beer. Let me get the bell. There we go. Yeah, no, and a great episode it was, that simulcast as you stepped in. And listen, maybe you weren't this optimistic, but you found some positives for the squad. And they've kicked their habit of dealing with their addiction with ACC quarterbacks, and they're better for it, simply put.
Absolutely. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention the Khalil Herbert trade to give the Bengals some depth at running back now that Zach Moss looks like he's going to miss multiple weeks with a neck injury. T's and P's to him, obviously. But this is one of those moves where sometimes it's not the flashy move that has to be made. Sometimes it's the move that has to be made to keep yourself afloat. Sure, I would have loved the Bengals to go add a couple pieces to that defense. But maybe you don't nuke the entire future to do it if you don't think that this is the Super Bowl. So
yeah,
we'll take it where we lie. And, we got some games coming up here that we got a shot to get ourselves right back in the conversation.
Well, you as a member of the Houday Nation and a Bengals follower, I get that you pointed that out. But if I had the soundboard, I should say, if Big Jim of Huddle Up Podcast had a soundboard right now, I believe his response would be along the line of, nobody cares. How terrible. Yeah, dude, I got to be honest. I can see why they were shopping T. Higgins, dude. It's been a rough year, and maybe they're not prepared to blow it up, or they didn't get a good price for T. Higgins. I appreciate them holding pat on that, but that's going to be a tough thing. To your point, though, and your credit, to your Bengals credit, the AFC is kind of a bleeding mess this year. So who knows? Maybe anything will happen. But speaking of bleeding messes, it's time for us to talk about the things that are the opposite in our mid-season awards. Now, for those of us who aren't familiar out there, Mikey the Bernier, as an advanced thinker and semi-ball knower. I'm kidding. He's not semi. I make jokes. We will go through the defensive and offensive rookies of the year, the offensive and defensive players of the year, the coach of the year, MVP, the biggest surprise and the biggest disappointment. I do not do comeback player of the year at this point because, let's be honest, well, we've had enough tragedy and misappropriation of that award, and then Joe Flacco has the audacity to say that people are taking a shot at him. No, dude, we're taking the shot at the Grim Reaper and the alleged NFL media that cares about player safety. You goofy so-and-so. Boy, you threw... Listen, that was a worse pass you threw making that statement than you did against the Vikings this past weekend. Am I right? Anyways, too soon. Let's start off with defensive rookie of the year, Mikey the Bernier. Who you got?
So this one is, it kind of feels like a toss-up at points. Yes. There hasn't been the guy who's really gone out there and become the defensive rookie of the year. So I went back and forth on this one. I eventually came to the conclusion of Jared Verse of the Los Angeles Rams as my defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah. First of all, if you were EJ Christian, I would accuse you of stealing my notes, but since it's you, I will instead say that great minds think alike. Jared Verse is who also I had. Listen, I get it. The Rams are an offense first team, and typically speaking, they're going to be a tough out unless they do things to shoot themselves in the foot, like, Puka Nacua getting his dumb butt kicked out of the game by throwing a punch. What in the entire beep? Anyways, yeah, that's the thing that happened, buddy.
I understand. No, Lady Caliente was yelling at me about something.
Oh, well, I mean, listen, Lady Caliente could yell about whatever she wants. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, here nor there, my friend. Cheers. But by the way, for those who are listening to the podcast, I did in fact hold up a beer. So with that in mind, what I like the most about Jared Verse's roles, not only is he putting up fat numbers, as you expect rookie of the defensive rookie of the year candidates to do, what they also have to do is make an impact. And considering the fact that Aaron Charles Donald is no longer a thing and this defense has suffered since it, Jared Verse has given them some sort of love and hope. Listen, it's amazing that they came out this past Thursday and beat the Vikings. Did some of that alter my vote in that direction? Maybe. But with all that being said, man, listen, it's a tough argument for me to go against Jared Verse. I will also offer that I saw him in college, and to see his game transfer to the NFL the way it has is of little surprise to me. Listen, I had him as a dark horse candidate to get drafted by the Jags. Listen, my guy Travis D. Holmes was screaming from the rooftops, so not literally, like he thought it would be a fun pick until they moved up to get BTJ, then everything was okay. But anyways,
I would say here at the midseason point, though, if there's someone that can catch him, it would be our good friend Latu.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the 1-2 there. Dark horse Chop Robinson, depending on how good of a second half he actually can have.
And listen, the Colts public at large, especially our good friend Silu of Sports After Dark, who comes here regularly and talks Colts with us. He is also aware of my affinity for DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart. When you got that kind of help, I'm not going to say I take points from you, but you have a better opportunity to be good. And man, listen, Latu, I dig what he's doing. Let's not get this conversation twisted. But name me the last talented Rams defensive end that you can think of. Boy, that got quiet. So I say all of the above to say that's the direction I went. And I think I preached to the choir that you stand in, my good friend.
Yeah.
If you thought Jared Verse was easy, well, I think this one coming up next is going to be the same as well. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Mikey the Bern Bernier.
We go back to the district. We will take the leader of the 7-2 Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels.
This pick was easy. It's easy like Sunday morning. Oh. No, yeah, obviously it's Jaden Daniels. Now, let me throw this wrinkle, Mikey the Bern Bernier. If you were to pick a non-quarterback rookie to hoist this award, who would you have in mind?
This might be a hot take. It may not be a hot take. It would be a wide receiver, but it would not be Malik Neighbors. It would be Brian Thomas Jr.
Goddamn right, it would be Brian Thomas Jr. You're exactly right. That's what I'm talking about, Mikey the Bern Bernier. I don't know what more I have to add to that. When the guy is literally nicknamed a lottery ticket on a regular basis on the Duval Dive, what do you think I'm going to say? It's Malik Neighbors. Won't you be my neighbor? No! What are we doing? I got hyped on that one. Holy snap. I wasn't ready for that, Bern. I'm impressing myself over here. This is nutty. Listen, I haven't had enough beer to be this excited. Damn. Anyways, let me get back on it here with the offensive player of the year, Mikey the Bern Bernier.
All right, so this is the one where I've gone back and forth the most. I've sat here. This and Coach of the Year are the two awards that I've pandered on for basically two.
Remember, I know it's election night. That's probably why you thought pandered. You meant pumped.
Yeah, that too. So I've sat here for the week and a half that we've known what we were doing, and I've gone back and forth on this one. And obviously on paper, the easy answer here is Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably should be Derrick Henry.
However,
I'm gonna homer up this one because without him in the first half of the season, I don't necessarily know that the Cincinnati Bengals have 4 wins. I'm gonna go Jamar Chase because of the injuries to T. Higgins, because of the inability of the run game now that Joe Mixon is in Houston to be effective, it's really been the Jamar Chase show in Cincinnati for sure. I went, like I said, I went back and forth on this one between him and Derrick Henry. There's a very strong possibility that Derrick Henry is going to end up with the award at the end of the year because of how great of a year he's had. But I will say this. In 9 games, Jamar Chase has 55 catches for 717 yards, second in the National Football League, and 7 receiving touchdowns. And none of them were against the Raiders this week when Joe threw for 5. Let's be very transparent there.
But listen, I laugh, but I love the point you're making because I've made it in years past with guys like Julio Jones. Like, he'll go out and have a 200-yard receiving game and then have 15 or 50 the next week or something. But that's the thing. When you got a guy like that that's present in that way, other dudes eat. Mike Gesicki's a thing that's getting receptions and production because people are worried about the other threats on the field. On that, I will definitely back you. I hear where you're going there.
And the fascinating thing is, if you actually look at the Bengals this season, he had 2 touchdowns and 118 yards in the loss to the Commanders. He had 10 catches for 193 yards and 2 scores in the overtime loss to Baltimore. I mean, he's putting up numbers against the teams that they need to beat to get themselves into playoff contention. 7 for 43 against the Raiders and 5 for 55 and a touchdown against Cleveland are not the weeks where you're like, oh man, you really loaded up the stat line with that one, So I went, like I said, I went back and forth on it. There's a very strong possibility that if Derrick Henry duplicates the second half of the year that he's had, that he wins it at the end of the year. But the good thing about the midseason awards is I can fix my answer at the end of the year. And that's why I'm going with Jamar Chase here. Like I said, it was a 2-leg race for me. I went back and forth on it for a while. I just decided to go with Jamar here because he's kept Cincinnati basically alive.
Jamar over Joey Burr. Why?
See, now I've determined in my own mental state that Offensive Player of the Year is the non-quarterback award.
But there would be a case for Joey Burr.
Correct. If I put quarterbacks in the Offensive Player of the Year running, I would put Joey Burr in the top 3 of that discussion.
Awesome. Unfortunately, the answer is still Derrick Henry, just like you said.
You're not wrong.
No, buddy,
you're not wrong.
I think the part that tipped to Derrick Henry for me is him coming out, having an air quotes slower game against the Kansas City Chiefs in week 1, facing freaking Chris Jones that everybody forgets about, which is going to be ironic based on things I say later in this show. More on that later. But yeah, for him to come out and do what's happening there, damn. By the way, Zay Flowers having monstrous numbers. He wasn't doing that before. Granted, he was a rookie last year. I get it. And he still has Lamar Demetrius Jackson, but it's fun when people don't know what the hell to do. What you gonna do when the king is running at you, brother? Listen, you're the wrestling fan. I can do impressions.
Oh yeah, you hit that one spot on. And again, this is when you look at Derrick Henry's stat lines, and this is the fascinating thing about it. Basically, if you give him the ball more than 20 times a game, they're almost guaranteed a victory. I mean, every game that he has over 20 carries has been a win. 11 carries in the game against Cleveland, loss. 13 against the Chiefs, loss. 18 against the Raiders, loss.
Wait a minute. There's no significantly famous examples of the Ravens running the ball not enough and then losing a game that everybody. Where the fuck have you? Oh God, I got to text that out. I cursed on my own. This is your fault. Damn it, Bern. What's 1950? Okay,
got him.
Shoot. You already knocked me over with your Homer crap with Jamar Chase, and then it did knock me over the edge. Someone's gonna laugh at this hard. Anyways, you already are, I think. But
you're right.
You're not wrong. See, it's different. It's different when Bern says you're right. That's how I know how silly it is. You usually would say you're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
I haven't done that on my own show in a long time. Damn. Anyway,
Ernest, I did something that you would never be able to do. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
I mean, you mean other than analyze football well. Anyways, boom. See,
Boom, roasted.
this is what a good guest does, is help a host feel better about himself after he screwed up. That was wonderful, Bern. Thank you for that setup. Anyways, wow. Defensive player of the year. Can we say it at the same time? 1, 2, 3. TJ Watt. Okay. No. But I mean, seriously, break that down for me.
Yeah, I mean, as much as again I wanted to give my guy in Cincinnati his flowers and Trey Hendrickson because of how good he's been for the
amazing game this past week, by the way.
Yes. The only bright spot in the Cincinnati defense besides Logan Wilson. It's been the two of them, and everybody else has kind of been so. I look at it from that perspective. I wanted to give Trey some love there. Obviously, I wanted to give Chris Jones some love as well. We've talked about him being the entire Kansas City Chief defense. But
team. Sorry, I said what
correct.
I said.
You're not wrong. But I literally watched TJ Watt force 4 fumbles to win the Pittsburgh Steelers football games that they should not have been winning. This guy is a freak athlete. As long as he stays on the field, he's going to finish in the top 2 or 3 of the defensive player of the year ballot most years. He's hard to block. He's hard to keep hands on. And here's the thing. You have to look at other stats that you can't read by going on ESPN. You got to look at the amount of holds that he draws, the amount of double teams.
All by you, Mikey Bern.
The amount of double teams that he draws that leads to linebackers being able to get into the gaps to get to running backs before they get to the second level. These are all things that looking at a stat line on ESPN is not going to tell you. But TJ Watt is absolutely the defensive player of the year.
Yeah. And listen, I know the questions are already coming. I mean, I'm not wearing a Chiefs hat. I am wearing a red hat though, but I can see already, but Kyle, all you do is talk about Chris Jones and how he's overlooked. And you're right. And I'm going to keep doing that ish. Here's the thing, by the way, me dodging the curse word this time. And I'm going to keep doing that ish, but I can only make fun of myself. The thing is, the quarterback, I know, just deal with it, Bern. The cornerback for Chris Jones is Patrick LaVon Mahomes II. You know who isn't the quarterback for Chris Jones? Russell Carrington Wilson at an aged state or Justin Fields. That is compelling evidence to keep TJ Watt at the top of your list. Period, point blank, end of story. My apologies to your Bengals that they have to play him twice a year.
I just hope that my Bengals can find a way on defense to make Russell Carrington Wilson look like Rusty.
I see what you know what, damn it. There you go. That's my dude right there. Mikey Bern coming in hot. That's what she said. Anyways, coach of the year. Not going to be an easy one, Bern. Who you got?
Oh boy. Yeah. If my offensive player of the year one was a tough one that I went back and forth on, this one was even tougher because I think I had legitimately like 6.
I said 5, but yeah, 6 is good. 6
guys that I've been penciling back and forth.
There's a joke in there somewhere. Let's keep moving.
There is. Honestly, this one, I think I narrowed it down to a 3-legged race here.
We're not doing 1A, 1B, 1C.
Nope,
Stop being a punk.
No. Here's the thing. This is me trying to actually stall like you do sometimes on Huddle Up because you can't make the pick.
Sir, this is why I'm making jokes. I am helping you stall. This is what good hosts do when they're not screwing up and cursing on their own damn shows.
I'm going to go with Dan Quinn.
Okay.
I know a lot of it has to do with the offensive rookie of the year. But Dan Quinn's done a great job with that defense and getting those guys to be ferocious and combative and get to the football, which is something that he's always been good at, even when he was a defensive coordinator. I can't sit here and say that I didn't think about Kevin O'Connell because the reality of the situation is JJ McCarthy goes down and we're all sitting here laughing at the fact that Sam Darnold is going to be the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. And now we're looking at it going,
what happened was
Sam Darnold?
Yeah, right.
And honestly, another name that I and this is kudos to him because he was great when he was in New Orleans. I had Sean Payton as a name that I kicked back and forth because there was a lot of people that thought Bo Nix. There's no way an Oregon quarterback's going to be good.
Too many people tried to nix Bo. I hear you.
By the way,
who had Bo getting a touchdown on their bingo card? Like I had mentioned something. I was in the press conference at UCF with his former head coach at Auburn, Gus Malzahn, with the black and gold banneret. And hey, coach, did you see Bo got a touchdown? He's like, I haven't seen it yet. Christy, his wife, told me about it. I heard he had to stretch out for it. Let me get this straight. You have your quarterback lunging for a touchdown reception. Bruh, that's some Sean Payton stuff that if I'm just saying, continue.
You're not wrong. And like I said, I went back and forth between the three of them. Honestly, you have to have the conversation of Man Campbell for what he's been able to do.
Side note, somewhere in there, the Kool-Aid Man has to be present. Like,
correct.
We acknowledge that with Andy Reid, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I think that's the Andy Reid, unfortunately, to me, gets the Bill Belichick. It's like he's there, like he's always gonna be there, but are we really impressed when he's always there, kind of thing? And that's how I felt about Belichick for a while. I know there were certain years, the Matt Castle year, right, and a couple of those other seasons where Bill really pressed some buttons. But
let me bring this in too, because you made the good point about I don't want to use the word fatigue here, but I think that applies. I think what's different with Andy Reid over Bill Belichick is Andy Reid has basically done it just a little bit differently every time. Where with Bill Belichick, and no, not just Brady, but a lot of those defenses that carried Thomas, Edward, Patrick, Bieber, Brady, but nobody wants to talk about except for Richard Seymour. And you can see that on my coverage on the 3-Point Conversion YouTube channel, by the way. During the year of his Hall of Fame induction, I actually asked him about that. Gave a very interesting answer. So make sure you check that out. Everybody's getting bells tonight, Mikey Bern. Holy crap. But he's done it a little different every time. If I said to you, Andy Reid, who's allegedly an offensive coach, is doing it with defense, first of all, I've been telling you that for over 2 years now, so get right. Second, you'd be amazed. We all know Belichick was a defensive guy. It makes sense that his Super Bowl teams had great defenses and Tom Brady. This group has a great defense and Patrick LeVon Mahomes II, and you idiots let him get better by giving him DeAndre Hopkins. What? By the way, what is
I blame the Titans.
I blame the Titans. Well, that's proper to do. By the way, enjoy Calvin Ridley. Anyway, I went a little different direction. And it's cored in one concept you dropped. You mentioned Kevin O'Connell. And if I said to you, J.J. McCarthy, and it's a fine answer, but if I said to you, Music City Malik Willis and winning football games, you would be Count asked in the game. I'm glad you don't have an HR department yet, because not only do you have a gunslinging quarterback that makes mistakes and you're still winning games, you're winning games with that dude's backup. If I said to you, Brett Favre got hurt and JT O'Sullivan is in, you're screwed.
I would actually say, don't do meth.
Don't do meth. You smoke crack, don't you? Wow, did I just voice act Morgan Freeman? I am the bomb. Anyways, you know who else is the bomb? Matt LaFleur. Okay, I said what I said. This is a guy who should have been obliterated when he allegedly lost Aaron Charles Rodgers, and suddenly we're seeing a resurgence, the likes of which shouldn't matter. Oh, but Kyle, he lost the game to the Eagles, who were bad in Brazil. Okay, fine. Week 1 happens. Please see college football. Okay, you know I'm trying to believe that Texas A&M's a signature win. No, I'm not.
But you say week 1 happens. Don't worry. The Cincinnati Bengals, who are potentially a playoff hopeful, lost to the Patriots week 1. Anything can happen. I'll make your argument. Hold on.
You went full Kevin Garnett on that ass, and I ain't even mad at you, bro. I wasn't ready. That was a good boy. This is why you're on these superlative shows, Bern. Damn, that was nice. Dynamite drop in. So yeah, listen. I know we mock our good friend Ernest E.J. Christian on the Huddle Up podcast. about 10 green tones down with the Packers and all this sort of thing. But it's not entirely without merit, because when they are successful, a big part of it has to do with Matt LaFleur continuing to take this team to life beyond Aaron Charles Rodgers and making the Jets absolutely laughable there. I mean, seriously, there is no bigger indictment except perhaps giving a game ball to Nathaniel Hackett after he beat the team that he ruined. What? Why aren't more people talking about that? Sorry.
That was.
Anyways, yeah. So, you had Dan Quinn, which is a fine answer. I'm not even mad at that. I can make an argument for Raheem Morris in Atlanta, although I think that's more about poor quarterback choice. And me, in full Lucifer Morningstar fashion, I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen when it comes to both Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota. But that's a whole other conversation. MVP, Mikey the Bern Bernier. Do it. It's going to hurt you. Handle the truth.
Demetrius Jackson.
For those who don't know, I'll say my pick so it's nice and clear. Lamar Demetrius Jackson. Yes, absolutely. Now, I know where you're going. Kyle, the offensive player of the year is Derrick Henry. Yeah, here's the thing. Is that true unless you have a threat at quarterback like Lamar Demetrius Jackson? I don't think so. Does Zay Flowers have ridiculous numbers without Lamar Demetrius Jackson? Hey, Mark Andrews disappeared. Did that matter? It's not very likely that it did. See what I did there? Isaiah Likely being huge until
former Chanticleer, Isaiah Likely.
I did. Great point, but shouts to you, of course. Yeah, listen, if you don't hit up Coastal, Mike's gonna go postal. That's a fact of the case. I never thought I would get to drop that on the show. Thank you, Mikey Bern.
You're welcome.
What can I say except you're welcome? Great. I don't have a soundboard, so I have to actually try to sing on this show. Damn it. You have any idea how easy you have it, Jim Neese? I have a soundboard. I'm terrible. If you want to get all these jokes, watch the Huddle Up podcast. It's fun. But yeah, it's hard for me to pick against LJack on this. I know there's other directions that could be had. I can even make a good argument for Jaden Daniels. I won't, but I could.
I would call you Ernest Christian, but I won't.
Whoa. Nobody brought up the Browns here.
I was thinking more the CJ Stroud take last year where he was like MVP CJ Stroud. He likes to press that. He likes to press that button on rookie quarterbacks 8 weeks into their rookie season. But let's see
here. Let's be clear. I can make an argument for Justin Jefferson in all truth. But I'm not quite there yet. I don't know who are your other candidates?
I mean, you could make an argument for Josh Allen, even though he had that horrific game against where he couldn't tell you which way was left or right because his brain was rattled.
Yeah, I'm not inclined to hold concussions against guys. But Josh Allen was on the list. I will definitely agree with you with that.
17 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 3 rushing touchdowns. I think he's in the conversation. I know he doesn't put up flashy numbers, and I know that they're winning games because of the two-headed monster at the running back position. But Mr. 100% completion ration of Jared Goff, might have to have at least a name in the conversation. I know he's not as putting up the flashy numbers that Lamar or Josh Allen is, but they're also not asking him to do anything more than be a consistent guy that doesn't turn the ball over.
So first of all, I will never hold game management against MVP candidates. Please see Thomas Edward, Patrick Bieber, Brady. I said what I said. But this is also a guy that has Amon-Ra St. Brown, a lot of talented players around him, and an excellent offensive front. This is why I scoff at Goff as an MVP. That's just not a direction I'm willing to go.
I do have a fancy dark horse name.
Please.
But the last 3 games have kind of hurt his stock.
Baker
Mayfield.
Stop it.
That guy is doing it without Godwin, without Evans. He's doing it with Sterling Shepard and Rashad White and Cade Otton. I mean, he's literally doing it with nobody right now. And he took the Chiefs to task on Monday night. Reality of the situation is they should have went for 2 and tried to win that football game after they scored.
Had momentum. I agree with you on that, by the way. There are times where you throw analytics out the goddamn window, and that's one of them. I'm with you on that.
I mean, their last 3 games, a 6-point overtime loss, a 5-point loss to division rival Atlanta, and a 10-point loss to the guy that we just picked to be MVP in Lamar Jackson. And in those games, he's thrown for 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and over 900 yards, or right at 900 yards.
By the way, I'll say this quickly too. If I said to you, hey, go to overtime or try to make a 2-point conversion against Chris Jones, you're still picking the 2. Okay. I just wanted to put context on it.
I would, because at that point, you're hoping that whatever side Chris Jones lines up on, you roll to the other side. You have K-Dot and try to escape somewhere in that regard. You just try to punch it in.
You know, that's not a bad strategy, honestly. And listen, like I said it earlier. People in my life try to claim that momentum isn't a thing of football. Shouts to my friend Travis D. Holmes of Big Cat Country and my co-host on the Duval Dive, as well as Brian Murphy, who writes for MLB.com and is a former writer for the Black and Gold Banneret. I got to get some bells out for these guys. So, but no, in that situation, momentum's absolutely a thing. You have a team on their heels, questioning life. An undefeated team, especially, is suffering from what my friend Travis D. Holmes refers to as the lemon booty. You run it right up their booty, I think, is a fine strategy.
I mean, you got the ball back with 2:16 left in the game, and you scored with 27 seconds left. I don't see a world where you're sitting here telling yourself, I'm going to give Patrick Mahomes II the ball back.
Let me throw this back at you. You mentioned, they scored this quickly. They did it 2:17 in 26 seconds, all this other stuff. If I said to you, which quarterback did that, Lamar Demetrius Jackson or Maker Bayfield,
I would have taken Lamar.
Yeah, exactly. As much as it probably pains you to admit that.
Sure. But I can also... I can hide the pain and give credit where credit's due. I'll also tell you this: best supporting actor in a drama goes to Patrick Mahomes for that. Oh, I rolled my ankle, but it looks like I may have blown out my Achilles. And then oh, never mind, guys. I'm just gonna go out and just drive the ball down everybody's throat.
I mean, listen, if I may be so bold, and I saw that performance too. It wasn't so much the injury as in what I've seen of Patrick Mahomes II, the player, having talked to him more than once in press conferences. I know, humble brag, it is what it is, but it's a fact. And I'm kind of like Marcellus Wallace. I'm not dropping names. I'm telling a story. I'm going somewhere with this. Having seen quarterback and just his approach to things in football, that felt to me more like frustration as this goddamn ankle again. This is what won him the MVP in Super Bowl 57, which I was in attendance for with the 3-point conversion. And that whole situation coming up again, you as somebody who suffered injuries in the same spot with ankles multiple times, it's not just the pain, it's damn frustrating. So there's some there with that. That being said, the moment you knew it was an ankle, you should have known he's not done. Learn something.
Comes out, leads him on 2 straight drives where he throws touchdowns, and then the game winner in overtime. I did enjoy the stat, and shout out to ESPN about him never throwing a touchdown pass in the fourth quarter or overtime, when tied. And then the next play he does that, and then rolls his ankle and then throws a touchdown pass. I'm like, all right, ESPN, chill out.
See, normally they would be when he hurt his ankle after that, how many Chiefs fans were like, "You jinxed him, ESPN, damn it." Then all of a sudden what happened was, no, I'm waiting.
He comes back out and just here you go. Oh, look, D-Hop's open. Here you go.
I mean, that's the thing, though. D-Hop don't even have to be that damn open to make a play.
Triple coverage in the first half, and he's just like, oh, hey, look, football.
Oh, God. Wow. Damn it, Titans!
Yeah, Titans. Thanks to Titans.
And by the way, I'm not one of these people that suffer from Chiefs fatigue. I am a huge Patrick Mahomes II fan. But damn it, Titans, really? Just hand them the freaking trophy at this rate. I know we got playoffs and stuff. So playoffs. Anyways. I like that you came in with Dan Quinn. That was nice. I'm not mad at that. Yeah. Who's your biggest disappointment for 2024, Mikey Bern?
Ooh, I have a couple ones that we could talk about. You've already mentioned one of them, and that was Ron Charlie Rodgers, but he's not my formal pick. I could talk about the Cincinnati Bengals, and I could actually go into a full tirade about that.
I almost did that, but I didn't want to hurt you. I'm joking.
That's fine. And if you would have, we would have had the conversation. I'd have been more
You
than fine.
taken it like a man. I 100% get it.
But I didn't go there either. I'm going to go a little further north. What in the ever-loving
beep
are the Indianapolis Colts doing with Anthony Richardson?
Ooh, interesting.
I am disappointed in their lack of commitment and lack of figuring out if he is actually the quarterback of the future. The reality of the situation is this Indianapolis Colts team was not going to make noise in the playoffs. This team probably wasn't going to make noise in their own division. Look at what Tennessee's doing. They're not good, but they're not benching Will Levis. They're looking to see what they got out of him. Is he going to be able to be a backup? Is he going to be able to be a guy that could start whenever we draft someone and make them the starter next year? Looking at you, Shedeur Sanders.
First of all, the Raiders are going to get him, so it's not going to be Shedeur. I'm thinking more of a Quentin Ewers, but go ahead.
Will Howard, someone.
Interesting.
Whomever it is.
The punchline
is Will Levis going to be able to back that person up? They're looking to see what they can get. 40-year-old Joe Flacco ain't it. Why aren't we looking to see if Anthony Richardson cannot progress through learning this offense? Because at this point, you're not only doing him a disservice, you're doing every piece of that offense a disservice, because eventually you're going to have Michael Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs learn, insert quarterback here is going to want to throw it to my back shoulder more than my front shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's going to take you another year or two to learn that. And now you're talking about these guys that are your core. Your Jonathan Taylor in 2 years, 28. Michael Pittman, 26.
Yeah.
Josh Downs, 27. What are we doing? You got to make a choice. And I get it. Joe Flacco gives you a better chance to win football games in 2024. Newsflash. Don't matter if you win or you lose. You're not making the playoffs. Go back to the kid and see what he can at least give you. If it's bad, it's bad.
In the Colts' defense, I think that's on the table, right? There's a non-zero chance that when the Colts get mathematically eliminated, they do go back to the AR. And I think I'm with you that that's what should be happening. He's had, what is it? We keep hearing the stat, 13 starts in college, and they took a fly out, which, to be honest, I was pro them making that pick. I know people there in Indianapolis were losing their entire minds, perhaps for political reasons other than football ones. Hashtag I said what I said. But the punchline's this. So many people thought Will Levis was supposed to be the answer. How's that looking? So, by the way, there's a reason why Will Levis didn't get drafted in the Student of the Game real mock draft that year, because we only did one round. And as you saw, the NFL agreed, and Will Levis not getting drafted till round 2, right, buddy? So I think there's some there with that.
If you're going to take a guy that raw, though, don't start him that first year that he gets hurt. Like here you go. We let Aaron Rodgers sit behind Brett Favre for 2 years.
It's not the same era of football.
No. I'm not saying that it is.
Okay.
But a kid who has only made 13 collegiate starts.
Like Mitchell Trubisky, essentially. Let's call it
correct. With raw throwing mechanics, arm talent for days, but may not know the way to read proper coverages and may not understand, teams are going to hide their man coverage and their zone coverage. Use that first season that he actually ended up getting hurt and missing most of the season. I don't know that I would have had him out there. I think I would have been we're going to watch film. We're going to teach you, when that safety's sitting too high, if he goes to the left, he's playing man. If he's going to the right and he's covering into that zone, then you know that you can take your dump downs to your sure-handed wide receivers. And it's just one of those things where AR has so much raw potential And it feels like we're never going to actually get to figure out if he actually could be a good quarterback, because at the end of the day, they just keep hot potato in the kid, and there's no confidence in him now. He probably has less than zero confidence in anything inside of that room.
Well, okay. So a few things. First of all, not disagreeing with anything you said. Let me lead with that, except for one thing. At the beginning of the year, you had said that the thought was they're not making the playoffs. No one ever thought so. Actually, they were the, shall we say, consensus dark horse, steal the AFC South pick for so many people out there. Now, granted, you'll give me credit. I'm not among them. I told you AR would be hurt by week 8. Bing! Not that I'm happy about it.
Sure.
I'm an AR guy. I wanted to see him succeed, but I don't think he's it. To the Colts' credit, if they are truly out this early on Anthony Richardson, good on them for declaring it this soon and maybe giving themselves the chance to be in the Quentin Ewers sweepstakes, regardless of how I feel about Quentin Ewers as a prospect, by the way. I don't know that that's going to go well or not, but
I don't disagree with you with that take either. Kudos if they're really out on him. Kudos to making the decision as fast as they can to not put this team in shambles for the next 4 years with it.
Right. And I mean, it's unfortunate because you mentioned the point of all the assets too that have now aged a year because this ish happened. But maybe they'll find their guy, in the upcoming draft if that's the direction they go, or they'll make a good trade. I don't know what to make of A or B with that. Anthony
Richardson to Seattle.
Fascinating. I'm not against it. The real crime news here is guys like DeForest Buckner that came to Indy to make a difference and are amazing at their craft, being stuck at being amazing at their craft and not appreciated for it, except for dudes like me who don't even cover their team. So yeah. Wow, there was a lot of there. Me, I'm going to be much more basic on this. The answer is the goddamn Jets. What are we doing, Bern? Half the world had them in the playoffs. Granted, you and I were smarter than that, more than we could say for some friends on various panels that we do with, but even the national media had wooed the public at large. And who knows, maybe that the Jets do sneak into the playoffs. Are they anything other than a sacrificial lamb for the number 3 seeded AFC team? No, I don't.
That would probably be Houston at that point.
And they're going to be looking for some vengeance, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, at that juncture, well, by the way, let's say this. I'm pretty sure Houston would be the 4th seed, which means they'll be playing against their division rival Bills, probably.
Or whoever wins the North, because technically Pittsburgh is still leading that division as of recording.
Huge. You're implying that Lamar Demetrius Jackson will suffer an injury, but
I'm also saying that it means that I don't think the Steelers have a shot at winning 2 games against the Cincinnati Bengals on their schedule, but that's neither here nor there.
I'm not mad at you. That's a hot take. Yeah, but the punchline is it's not looking great for the Jets in the playoffs. And is a first round exit what we expected from Aaron Charlet Rodgers and Devontae Adams?
Well, I mean, now that Devontae is there, I don't think any person would sit here and say that they expect a first round exit. I would say this, a lot of mainstream media who have never recovered from an Achilles tear thought that he was going to come back and be Aaron Charlet Rodgers. He is not. He is Aaron Rodgers. He is Aaron Charles Rodgers this year. He is not fancy with anything. He does it, and maybe this was him trying to rush back for some unknown reason last year because the ayahuasca smelled good. I don't know.
Pride. It doesn't have to be complicated. It could just be pure ego, my guy.
You're not wrong. But they sat here in the offseason, another year of Garrett Wilson, another year of Breece Hall. Let's go get Mike Williams. You traded him for a bag of peanuts. Good job, guys. Love the idea. Why not just keep him and use 3 wide receivers? I don't know. You got a guy who's a gunslinger. Why not use him? I have more questions than answers with the Jets. I had more questions than answers with the Jets from the beginning. And it was more of a, they're going to have to win football games ugly, and I don't think they're built to win ugly football games.
Ooh, that's a great call, especially with an offensive line that's is made up of dudes that are injury prone as hell. Wow, nice take.
And honestly, the offensive line's built on injuries. Breece Hall's been dinged up every year of his career. I love Breece. I think he's
I'm
great.
glad somebody other than me pointed it out too, by the way.
I love Breece, but been dinged up. Aaron Rodgers the last 4 or 5 years, concussion, foot injury, Achilles. You know, Father Time is undefeated in this sport for no reason other than it's Father Time.
He's petty AF. That's the reason.
Yeah. So, and here's the thing: you look on paper and you're like, "Oh yeah, we got Devontae, we got the group back together." This is not 2018 Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. This is 6 years later, and both of those guys, Devontae coming off of injuries, Rodgers coming off of injuries. The names sound great. Names don't win you football games in the NFL anymore.
Far be it for me to argue with that. Biggest surprise, Mikey Bern.
This one was one that I went back and forth on for a little bit, and then I've mentioned Dan Quinn, I've mentioned Jaden Daniels. I could say it's the Commanders. I would say it could be the quarterback room of the Pittsburgh Steelers, getting them out to an AFC North lead. But I won't do that. It's Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
because when he signed in Minnesota, it was cute. He's a clipboard holder for whomever they're going to draft.
A veteran presence. Be nice.
It was cute. And then they were like, all right, we're going to draft JJ. We'll have a competition in camp. And JJ, if he doesn't win the job, will probably be the starter by the bye week. And then the injury happens. And then there were a lot of people, and I've said it, and I'll be the first to admit it, I didn't know how Sam Darnold would be. I didn't know if J.J. McCarthy being out would be the end of the Minnesota Vikings season. Because
no, you thought it was. Don't BS me.
No. Here's the thing. I thought they could stay competitive because I thought the NFC was going to be wide open. Did I think that they were going to start off as hot as they did, get to where they got before they lost their first game? Heck, no, I did not.
Destroying the Texans. I did not have that on the bingo.
No, didn't have that on the bingo card.
Yeah.
But Sam Darnold also, for the first time in his career, is throwing to a generational talent.
Justin Jefferson.
Right. Correct. But other people have had cracks to throw to generational talents, and they haven't done what Sam Darnold's done. A lot of people, when my good friend Kurt Coupins left for Hotlanta, there was a lot of people worried about the Minnesota Viking quarterback future. And if Sam Darnold is the guy for the rest of this season, obviously, the start of next season before J.J. McCarthy inevitably probably takes that job, Minnesota's in a lot better shape than what they thought they were when it was declared that J.J. McCarthy would miss the 2024 season.
You know, I had pondered as well putting the Commanders on this list.
It's funny that you said Ponder, aka former Minnesota Viking quarterback Christian Ponder.
I meant to no disrespect to anybody on this Audi. Boy, and I hated that pick when it happened at the time too.
That was such a bad pick.
I was in a damn bar in Washington, D.C. with my buddy Special Agent Rizzo, who used to be a panelist, by the way, for the original Student of the Game podcast. Shouts to Chris Rizzo. He the special agent of sports, I called him. I wanted to put the Commanders, but yeah, Sam Darnold's too compelling a reason, and we walked through all of that entirely too well. So I am I using this as a reason to cop out and move on to do picks? Yes, I am. Want to do some picks with me, Bern?
Let's do it.
All right, with that in mind. I'm going to do it. Give me dimes and the Giants, a phrase I thought I'd never say.
You take a shower, you feel dirty, don't you?
I'm not dirty. I'm just confused. Like, I don't know what just happened. The music stopped. I was so confused. Sorry. picks. We boy, what a ride. I had no idea the show was going to go over an hour, but here the hell we are. Mikey Bern, tell the world where you can be found.
You can follow me on Twitter at They Call Me Bern. You can listen to me every Tuesday night on the Huddle Up podcast. I will be starting back Sunny Days and Double Plays, a Palm Beach baseball podcast where I talk about local South Florida baseball. Just came away with a victory in a baseball tournament today with one of the teams there. So we'll be talking about that on the show. And as always, you can listen to me talk on hockey. The Five for Fighting is going to be making a return in the next couple weeks. We're getting closer and closer to Alexander Ovechkin knocking on the door of Wayne Gretzky.
Interesting. Listen, yeah, Five for Fighting makes, you know who wins when we're talking about Five for Fighting? America. Okay. There you go. Oh, wait. But I thought hockey was supposed to be a Canadian sport. How did Florida get it? Oh, wait, hold on. I got to turn up the volume. Shoot. Stupid bad hosting. My bad. Let me try that again. But how does America and Florida have all the hockey championships?
They're not even a real country anyway.
It's really the trumpet lick at the end that does it for me. Listen, man. By the way, if you ever do something football related with the Mount, I'd be more than happy to chop it up.
That's gonna start. I'm gonna talk to Jason probably this week. We've been back and forth. I do want to start the football Mount Rushmores because I want to do them while the seasons are active. But I have to finish the NL West still because we haven't finished that yet. But yeah, we're gonna get back to that as well.
Said no other American in sports media ever. I'm terrible. In honor, joy, and privilege to have you aboard, Mikey Bern. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as a student of the game. Check out my writings with the Fans First Sports Network covering the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Orlando Magic. Something obligatory comment about Paolo getting hurt and it being sad. Of course, my writings as well with the Black and Gold Banneret covering not only UCF football as I write night class, which you can find on the blackandgoldbanneret.com, but I will be, of course, debuting this year's basketball action that I write as Thursday night UCF women's basketball hosts Marquette. I will be there for that. So check all of that out. Of course, the Night Shift Live, the post-game reaction. This week, it'll be Arizona State. That you'll see me there doing that. So make sure you check that out, as well as the Duval Dive live after the Minnesota Viking game. And of course, every week at 7:30 on Wednesdays, you'll see the Duval Dive with me, my friend Travis D. Holmes, a Big Cat Country. Wow. Yeah. Okay. I think that's everything. So from my good friend, Mikey, the Bernie of Huddle Up Inc. This is Kyle Nash, the student of the game. Until next time, everyone, class dismissed.